This year we'll be providing unit overviews for the students as we complete each unit of study. The unit overviews will have the grade level at the top. It'll also tell you which unit we're currently working on. So in this case we're working on Unit 4. Unit 4 is the unit out of the math textbook, and in particular it tells you we're working on the topic that deals with circles and area. Within each of these, we will provide with unit learning goals, and these learning goals explain what students should know and be able to do at the end of each unit. So for example, our first learning goal for this one is students can demonstrate and understand circles and their properties. This gives students a little check-in. If at some point they find they cannot demonstrate and understand circles and their properties, then they should talk to their teacher. Also within each unit, we'll be asking students to complete in their graphing notebook some Cornell notes, and those notes are just a way for them to keep track of the work that they're doing. If students go to the middle school library, within the library, once they log on, they can go to grade 7 and they can call up the Cornell note-taking template. So the note-taking template is there for students to use. It will help them to better understand the format of the notes, and for the first part of the year we'll be walking students through these notes. Essentially, the Cornell notes leaves a place on the left hand side for them to highlight different key things. So it could be questions, it could be definitions, terms. On the right hand side is where they would actually do the definition, where they would complete the question. So it's a way of organizing that's a little bit more concise than some of the students may be used to. However, it will make it easier to find things in their notebook. So we put some information on the unit outline where they can find that information. This link will lead them to a video which shows how to use it. Also at the top part of the page is the link to the Math Makes Sense textbook, which can be logged on online, the username and password. Also, as we go down the page, we can find properties of circles. So the first two units deal with properties of circles, and they're unit 4.1 and 4.2. Math Makes Sense follows a scheme where the 4 is the unit number and the subsection is the second number, the tenths place, if you like. We've tried to provide key terms that students should be able to use in the Create Your Own definitions. We'd like students to do all of these in their notebook. The definitions, we want working definitions where students may draw a picture, they may write in words, they may do words and a picture, but a definition where they actually know what the words mean. Below that, we have some research questions we'd like students to work on. We want them to be able to see why circles are important and where they may use them. We want them to be able to describe some relationships. So these are kind of a bit higher order questions than maybe in the textbook, but something for students to think about, or they may need to go to external sources to find the information. Below that, we have some external sources for students to access. These are all hyperlinked, and they can access these resources anytime they wish. On the right-hand side of the page, we've set up questions and practice and thoughtful discussion questions for them to actually do, much like a ski slope. So the green circle questions are meant to be easier questions, or questions that we think students will really benefit from doing as a group. So for example, we want them in groups, and we will give time in class for them to explain the relationship between diameter and radius of a circle. They'll do that in small groups. This could also be something for parents to look at doing at home. So if we look at section 4.2 in this case, there are a few questions here where we don't expect them to write out all the answers in their textbooks, but we would like them to actually discuss those questions. For us as teachers, that'll give us a time to do some formative assessment in class, hopefully uncover any misconceptions, hear about those in the groups, and hopefully deal with those within the classroom situation. The blue square are kind of intermediate type questions, and we'd like students to try those ones in written format within their book. So within their graphing notebook, if they could do those ones, that would be great. Most of these ones require calculations. They should show fully worked solutions. So it should be more than just a yes, no, or a number. It should actually be a solution. like a solution that they would create on a test or an exam. Below that, we have black diamond questions, and these are questions that are really meant to extend students' thinking. For example, our first question talks about soccer balls and why it may not make sense to create a soccer ball that's a 3.5 or a 4.5 size. So these questions are meant to be tied directly into the properties of circles. So we want students to think about that mathematics in the real world in this case. Each of these questions may change over time. Finally, because this document is totally hyperlinked, we will include a copy on Google Classroom, and students should be checking Google Classroom to find out their homework. We will provide assignments and posts on Google Classroom for them to access, much like the teachers in their other class, so hopefully it will be one-stop shop for them. I hope you found this video informative, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact your Math 7 teacher. Thank you.